So thank you all for being here. This is the session, Cultivating the Next Generation of Food System Leaders. And in this session, we're going to explore how to inspire, empower youth to take part in this crucial work, breaking barriers and redefining the narrative surrounding food system careers and the food system in general. With the largest generation of youth in history demanding transformative change, it's time to heal the call. So we're about to engage in some thoughtful discussion with San Diego youth program leaders about how we can listen to, support, and empower this powerful movement to create a more just and sustainable food system. All right, so everyone, I'm Lakeisha. I'm the newest Alliance member. I'm the community food engagement, I'm the community engagement person. And thank you. So I'll be your facilitator for this session. I'm excited to introduce you to our lovely panel of food justice leaders. For the purpose of time, I'm going to give you their names and titles. Their bios are all available online at theannualgathering.com. So we have Lucan Gabor from Second Chance Garden, Youth Garden. We have Chris Burrows from Garden 31. We have Jenny Barajos from Olivewood Gardens and Learning Center. And we have Maya Osana from Mid-City Can Youth Council. So we're gonna start this session off with a light grounding. So I want you to take a second, a moment to reflect on this question and share with the person next to you. So we'll spend about 5 minutes on this grounding. So who are you bringing with you in today's conversation, especially as it relates to this topic? Who has inspired you to be a part of this movement? I'll give you 5 minutes to think about that and discuss. I'll give you a little bit about how I got into this. I started really young with my father. He cooked and he really fed the whole block. And he really let me know how important food is to a community. No matter what anyone was going through, he was like, let's just get them something to eat. They'll feel better after they eat. And that's kind of how I grew up. We went to local farmers, we went to his friend's backyard garden. And at the time, I was like, why are we buying all these vegetables that have bugs in them? You know, I was like, what are we doing? Why are we driving past several stores to get to your friend's house? Now I have my own garden in my backyard. And so exposing, even though I didn't understand when I was young, it's so important to expose the youth to this system of food because it comes back up for you. As you get older, you recognize. So, all right. So I'm glad everyone's feeling grounded. We're going to get into the questions with our panelists. I ask you all panelists just to say your name before you answer a question, just to remind everybody who you are, and let's get into it. First question, how do we cultivate the next generation of food system leaders and ensure that the future generations are keeping this movement alive and passing down essential knowledge? In short, how do we center youth in this movement? This is a question for all. What does the food system that centers youth look like to you? All of you.
I just want to go. Go ahead. Yeah, a food system centered on youth. You know, when I think about that, I think that is it's the birth of a new generation of agricultural professionals, people that will work within our food system for social justice as well as food justice and sovereignty in our communities. What it looks like for me is working with youth and really showing interest in them. One of the things that I've come to realize is that, like, we feed our youth a lot of information, but we don't feed them a lot of interest in what they're interested in. We have these Common Core standards and whatever else it is that they need to show that they're proficient in these certain things, but everybody doesn't learn the same, and everybody's not passionate about the same thing, and so it's like, for me, it's becoming involved in their lives and showing interest in them and what they have aptitude for, and then giving them a space to be able to grow into that. That's what I'm focused on doing. That's what we do and focus on, building those relationships. One of the things that I realized also is that you cannot have influence in somebody's life if you don't have trust. So it's about building that trust, building that relationship, and then once that's established and they know that you're there for their benefit, it's easy, because then all you have to do is just walk the walk, and they kind of just, they may not follow you exactly, and that's not what it's meant to be, but they follow you long enough until they find another path or whatever, and then we pass them off to somebody else that can help them. So that's what the food system looks like for me. I guess in relation to food, it looks like localized food coming from within the community. But yeah, it looks like localized food coming within the community, and it's also got to look like profit. Like, what does farming look like? People don't want to farm because it's challenging, it's hard. We ran a pilot program this year and took our apprentices to farms all across San Diego County, and in almost every one, it was like, access to land, water, labor. I got a second job, you know what I mean? Like, this is not profitable. So it's like, how do we create those marketing channels, those distribution channels for people to be able to say that, you know what, I can build a life and take care of my family by working in agriculture and providing food for my community. And so I think that's what, like, we're all here about today.
Okay, so my mind's like blowing right now, because I thought I already knew what I would, maybe say about some of these things. I grew food since I was little, and it was a chore, and I hated it. Like, we grew food when I was younger out of necessity for sustenance, and I'm just learning more and more about now, like, why of us doing those things. So I feel privileged to be doing this work now, and to have been in urban agriculture and growing food. I pulled off that knowledge. I pulled off the knowledge I had as a kid when I didn't want to do it, because I was still learning, even though I didn't like it. And so I think a cultural shift, where we're valuing growing food, right? I didn't know I was growing it, because if I didn't, I wouldn't eat vegetables, right? But I understood the plant life cycle. I understood, like, inherently, I was just absorbing that. So I think there are two things that need to happen. One, I think that exposing kids to garden and nutrition education at a young age, which is what Olive Wood Gardens is doing now, and other organizations, is exposing kids to where their food grows, what lettuce looks like growing out of the ground. And a lot of kids come back and tell us that they've told their parents they saw tried Swiss chard, and that is in their grocery store. Can we try that? So there's like additional value placed on all the knowledge around food and how food grows. I also believe that multiple touches throughout childhood to just continue to drive home the value of local food, growing food, how important the job of a farmer is, and all the while exposing them to pathways for entrepreneurship and business. And you can roll farming into pretty much anything. With the imagination of the kids these days, they can make it happen. Apps and all that jazz, right? So I think that centering, thinking about youth and the things that they've been learning for generations anyway, but really like honing in on the importance of all of it is really going to help drive, I believe, our youth into the future, knowing those things are important and choosing to go into more food systems related careers.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank Lakeisha for this opportunity to speak to you guys. And I just want to share a little bit about me. I'm from Jamaica, and I first moved to New York, and I spent about 10 years there. And my wife wanted to come and study in San Diego. I didn't know anything about San Diego, but when I first arrived, I fell in love with it at first sight. My wife is gone, but I'm still here in San Diego. Okay. So while I was here, I passed by the New Roots Garden, and that was about 2009. I want to give a shout out to Amy Lint right here, Ellie, and I have Khadijah and Edzai. Those guys we know since that time, 2009, right? And I first went to Amy Lint, and I said, "Hey, I want a spot in your garden. How can I get a spot?" And she said, "Oh, you gotta wait." And she showed me the waiting list, and it was this long. It was a long waiting list, and I was kind of like, okay, probably have to wait till somebody die or something. But then one day I wasn't like paying attention, and I got this phone call and said, "Who's this?" "Oh, Amy, you're still interested in this plot?" I said, "Sure, yeah." and they say, "What do you want to grow?" "I want to grow amaranth." You guys are familiar with amaranth? In Jamaica, we call it kalaloo. And nobody was growing amaranth at the time. And so I got the spot from Amy. And from there, I got involved in the New Roots community, not just doing the gardening part, but I became a leader there for the neighbors group. And we actually do advocating. We went down to the city hall and do all these advocating. We just came with backyard chickens. You guys, anybody raise chickens here? Nice, yeah. So that's some of the work that we were doing and still doing. I'm glad you see I have some, that's one of my classmates at City College. I actually, just being involved into the movement, I went and I got a degree in sustainable agriculture. Mm-hmm. And been involved in it for a while now, and as you can tell, and now I employed with Second Chance, and as Second Chance, I'm there as a educator / farmer, and I've been doing this for 3 years. Okay, and I work with youths. Youths are like the median age is between 14 to 16 years old, right? And been teaching them how to grow, and not just to grow food, but also to gain skills, the social skills and the necessary skills that they need, especially the soft skills to get into the workforce. When we think of a food system, it involves everyone, not just the person who are producing, not just the farmer or tilling like me, poor me, working in the garden, but it involves the consumer and everyone in between. So when we're thinking of bringing youths in and to complicate that, it's become so complicated now, and climate change is not doing any favors, right? So we're looking at a food system that's going to be changing, not like us coming and we have the conventional where we grow food in the ground. We probably have to start growing food in the lab. Oh, it's done. It's being done already, right? Yeah. So the technology, where I grew up, I would love when I was going to school to have all this new technology, and so the youths have this technology that's going to help them to create new opportunities, innovations, right? But for them to do that, sometimes they have to be where the soil is. To get innovations, you can't just like, okay, work inside a lab or in the classroom. You need some experience. And to bring that youth in and to work with the soil, then they can imagine, they can open their creativity to see what do we need? How can we fight this climate change? What can we do now? You know, to when we think about centering the youths, we're gonna say, okay, they're gonna think about their economics, right? Is this gonna provide a good living for me? You know, a living, and also the social aspect, the aspect of it, the economic, and also the environmental. All of these three have to come together. And so bringing in the youths, we have to be the mentors for them, right? We have to set that opportunity. We have to advocate as we did before to the city council. We have to have those politicians involved. We have to have city plannings involved, and to provide mentorships and scholarships for the young ones to get in. And so this is a few of what I say. I could continue on and on, but I think we don't have enough time.
Hi, my name's Mia. I go to Mission Bay. Hi. My idea of centering youth in this food system would be, of course, like starting in the childhood, like everybody said. And for me personally, the way that I was centered in the food system was my relationship with my grandmother. She was the one that introduced me to my love of like cooking, and the way that she really introduced me to that love would be growing up she had like her own oregano or her own mint, and that kind of inspired me to, you know, the simplicity of just growing plants and how that really intertwines my love for my family. It really just gave me the idea that we need to start within our childhood, and that's how I grew interest in like the food system. And one thing that I feel like we should really acknowledge is the youth's power in shifting our like food system and how much power we have in the sales. So of course the youth they're really big consumers. I mean, I know it's not always healthy. I always try to eat healthy, but I know that we should really just focus on how much power we have, and of course giving us more knowledge of the correct foods and the correct power that we have, and just shifting the way that we should purchase and the way that we should be involved in those food policies. Not only just centering the youth, but involving us in writing those policies. That's a really good, important aspect that I feel like we should be introducing.
Wonderful. Thank you. So at the same time, how do we make these careers viable? That's the question. I would love to hear from you all how you envision what this looks like. So for all the work development folks, what do valuable pathways for the careers in the food system look like to you? Specifically, career pathways for communities of color. And why is this so important?
Okay, thank you, Lakeisha. So you know, we are diverse people, right, from everywhere, right? So and we all have talents, everyone, all of us. And the theme of this San Diego Food Alliance for this year is, what is it? Kinship, right? And the thing about kinship is that we all want to live, right? And to live a comfortable and, you know, have a place over our head and all these things that we should have. And so we don't want to have the stigmas that attach to some of these career. You know, somebody say, he's a gardener, and they start moving away from him. But we all have to eat each day, right? And not forget, it's not just the garden. We have people that do, when we think about the food system, it's not just about the plants. You have animals and fish and different things, right? That's involved in the system. So how can we make it profitable is that we have to now acknowledge these people. You know, when we had the pandemic, you know, we kind of see that, a little of that. The gardeners and the farmers and the people who were providing food were kind of like become what they call those people again?
Essential.
Essential. We need to be still essential. You know, we all need to eat and everything. And so from everyone, as we said, the food system is from the consumer and the producer, and everyone in between have to come together and put our resources, work together to build that family and to build. This year we have 5,000 maybe. Next year we might have 10,000 coming here, and going out there to be preachers for food justice, right? Food justice for all, and social justice for all, economic justice, and also the environment, as we cannot forget. Because the earth, everything comes from the earth, and we still have to take care of it.
Thank you, Lucan.
Thank you, Lucan. Yeah, thank you, Lucan, for that. And I was listening to you, and I think you're absolutely right that the consumers and the producers need to get on the same page. You know, local farmers need to be supported by the communities that they feed, and sometimes that means spending an extra 50 cents, you know, on bell peppers or whatever it is. And so I feel like there needs to be education within the communities as to why you should buy local food. You know, those dollars, I know that in the black community, the dollar circulates less than in any other community there is, and it's like one time and then the dollar leaves. But if you're buying local food, that community you know, that dollar circulating maybe 2 or 3 times, that's 3 times the wealth. You know, and so we need to start looking at things like that as a whole system, not just for the black community, but for our community as a whole. Kinship, kindred, right? And building that wealth through supporting one another. And then as far as the producer goes, there's got to be a reason. Like, why do I want to farm? Why do I want to do this? Well, first of all, it's fulfilling. You know, knowing that you're doing something that is supporting health in other people. And it's fun, just being outside, learning about plants. It's life-giving. It's so many things that are intangible that just kind of get into you. And I can just say this story, like, I became a grower on accident. This was not something that I planned. I didn't go to school for this prior to having this download, this vision. For me, it was, you know, I'm born and raised here in San Diego, not in San Diego, in the city of San Diego, and I was pretty much just like a troubled kid, you know. I grew up in juvenile hall for the most part. At the age of, you know, once I became an adult, I started going to prison. I was gang banging. I was, you know, doing whatever you can think of. That's what I was doing. And I finally got to a point, and I was even doing the same thing when I was in prison. I was doing the same kind of hustles that I was doing out here. And so I was getting in trouble in prison, and I was in the hole in Chino State Prison. So now I'm in prison inside a prison, right? Because they just, you know, they like, Chris is bad, you know. And my father was passing. He had cancer, and you know, he was my best friend, even though I didn't know it at the time, because he was also my adversary. And I just got down on my knees and just said, God, I can't do this anymore. I've been doing this since I was 14 years old. Like, I know that there's something inside of me that's meant to do better for people, and I don't know how to do it, because I keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I need help me, you know. And I laid down on my bunk, and later that day, I was just, you know, I'm in the hole in Chino State Prison by myself, Palm Hall, laying on this bunk by myself, and I'm thinking, like, what can I do with the rest of my life? Like, I don't have a trade. I don't know, you know, I can't leave here and make 30, 40, 50 bucks an hour. And he just gave me a download. He, she, whatever you want to call that creator, gave me a download and said organic farming. Never farmed before in my life, none of that, right? And I was thinking about it. I was like, man, well, I live in San Diego. You know, we have good weather. I keep hearing people throw around this this word organic, and maybe, I like working outside. I know that much. So when I got out of the hole, they sent me to another prison, and I wrote the Small Business Administration, asked them to send me some sample business plans. They did. They ended up just happening to put me in the only vocational program on the yard. And I didn't ask for it. They just came to my room, was like, Burroughs, or my cell, Burroughs, you're in this program. And it was a OSRT, like you learn all the Microsoft programs, Excel, Word, and all that stuff. So I write out this business plan in my notebook in my cell at night, and for an organic farming operation to teach or formerly incarcerated how to farm, nonprofit, and then I go and type it out in the class. And 5 months later, I had a 26-page business plan. I came home, I'm like, I gotta learn how to farm. I went to Miracosta. The first thing, I came home, I was making $11 an hour working for a landscaping company, tree trimming on the groundsman. I wasn't climbing. And I was like, luckily I had mommy's house to go back to, and because $11 an hour wasn't gonna make it, as you know. So I started going to school. I came home in June 18th, 2018. August, I started going to school for sustainable agriculture at Miracosta, and within 9 months, I had tripled the $11 an hour and had gotten a job. Like, they gave me some crazy job, like with a salary and an office, and like doing school gardens and going to PTA with Rancho Santa Fe parents, and they're like, Johnny just loves you so much, Chris. I'm like, man, if you only knew, But I say that to say, like, I had no idea that there was this path, right? Now I'm a professor at Miracosta, teaching there, and the executive director of an organization that I founded, that I wrote the business plan for in Centinela State Prison. Man, God is good. But I had no idea there was this path, right? And then when I started taking those classes, I started realizing, like, man, there's so much to do. Like, and I know, like, a lot of people that are involved with San Diego Food System Alliance and other farmers, and we have this network and this community, right? Solana Center, and the paths are out there, but it takes the introduction, like she said, like Mia said, the introduction. You have to introduce people to it, because I have friends that are coming home from prison now. Like, I stay in contact with them, and when they come home, I'm like, okay, I got you, don't trip. I got this path for you. We're gonna get you in school, get you a job, ooh. But then, if the job is not paying, like, immediately right off the bat, because the first thing they want to do is start giving back to all the people that have been taking care of them while they were locked up. And so they want to, like, construction pays, right? They can go get a $30 an hour job working construction, but it's not fulfilling for them. Like, they really want to give back to the community and share from their experience. And so I feel like it's just like building that training program. We have a training program called the Grower Apprenticeship, stands for Generating Real Opportunities with Earth's Resources. And it's like giving them that introduction to that, and then sharing the path, because people think like mow, blow, and go, landscaping or whatnot. It's like, it's not much, but there's a whole, like, tree care, horticulture, just dealing with soil management, irrigation, like designers, architects, like there's a lot out there. So, I guess that's it.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Okay, so if I'm picturing like the food system and like the infographic that's got like, hey, we've got the grower here, and then the processor, and then if they throw some of the lettuce over to another place that like shreds the stuff for a restaurant, you've got all of these components, right, that include our growers, and then all these other jobs, like all these other opportunities. And I think teaching youth, teens in particular, as they're trying to decide what they want to do with their life, that how to balance a people don't do checkbooks anymore, do they? But, you know, like budget, how to budget, what a budget looks like, exposing them to different pathways, like people who run restaurants, people who work at distribution centers, such as like specialty produce. Like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool to like have a field trip to specialty to see how that all goes down? Like really giving them opportunities to see all of the different ways that they can make a difference in their food system. I think that right there is giving them tools to really look into deeper what it is that they want to, that what they might want to do. A lot of kiddos that come to Olivewood are either going to study sustainability, decide to study sustainability after they've been in one of our high school programs, or go into environmental science or food science. And I think it's remarkable that with, you know, students who are applying for these internships are saying, I'm not sure, I just want to meet friends, I don't know what I want to do. And then afterwards are saying, you know, I want to be able to do this for my family. I want to be able to do this for my community. So I think that we have an opportunity right now. I'm in National City, full of marginalized folks. Putting time and energy into those communities is really what's going to help set up, youth to support. Also going into communities that lack diversity and doing the same thing so that they understand the importance of it, because really it's going to take everybody to get the ball rolling on that. I also want to say, like, pay a living wage to farm workers. So
Sure.
that's a good start.
So this will be for you, Mia. With Second Chance, Garden 31, Olivewood Garden, how do we ensure that these programs and opportunities are accessible for youth? Like,
So when that comes to mind, what I think that would really engage our youth would be starting up youth programs that involve like extracurriculars. Like for me, I love art, and the way that I got involved, especially in like youth advocacy, was a program that Mid City Can hosted. It was called Artivism, and they ensured kind of educating the youth on World War II background, and we express what we interpreted from the information through a final project. So what I would think would be a great way to engage the youth would actually, like, through these programs, have like a little like workshop or like a smaller program where they express themselves through art, and they kind of explain in that final art project what the food system looks towards them. You know, everybody has their own interpretations. So somebody else has that, so good job. But but also I would also say not only gearing like these programs only towards high schoolers. If we want to involve the youth, we need to include all the ages and all of like the background. Diversity is very important in all of our society, but especially in food systems. So I would also recommend a lot of like youth programs, especially within the food system, would be go towards libraries. For me, I love going to the library. It's the only kind of big center that I feel like has all these programs, and not a lot of kids are very like knowledgeable of these small programs that will branch you into more opportunities. So libraries, middle schools, high schools, elementary schools, all these like ways that these youth could be involved is like, especially going that personal face-to-face contact is what really involved me into getting like more knowledge. So that's what I think.
perfect. Thank you. So digging into this a little bit more, so say we got the best programs in place and ideal pathways for careers in the food system. Still, how do we get youth to work and to stay community driven? How do we bring them in? Like, exactly, can you give us a couple of ideas of how to bring them in?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
What brought you here?
So I can say at New Roots, where we began, we have quite a few parents And there's one on her way here. She's just finishing college, and she wants to be involved. The reason why, she saw her parents. Their parents were an example there at New Roots, and that's what we want. We want to, you know, I say this, and I'm not trying to like. We've been suffering, right? We farmers, but we want better for children, right? Yeah. A lot of the children don't want to farm. They don't see a path there, and maybe it's our fault. You know, parents say, "Hey, go to college. Don't be like me." Right? One of the youth yesterday, she asked her, "So what chores do you have at home?" No chores. The parents did all of them. As long as they go to school and get an education, that's, you know, that's fine for them. But tilling the ground is something that should be, should be an honorable job, right? A job that people should be proud of. But there's not much money in there. And so the living wage that we're talking about should be in there, and to show and to have pride in that. You know, when you see your farmer, when you see people who are producing, you know, that we show them, you know, that what they're doing is valuable. And then as the youth seeing that, they would want to be part of that. I say, we all want to have purpose, right? And producing food is purpose. Producing not just from the ground, but fishing, animals, and all these things that involve in the food production, the food system, that we all participate in, is what we need to let them know that what they're doing is valuable, and we can make it economically viable for them, you know, by buying from them, you know, supporting them in every way. And then, as we said, we can grow that kinship. We can become more as a family, and, you know, despite whatever our background and color, we becoming one, and we becoming healing the world, making the world better. All right, and so that's one of the things that we can do to keep our young ones in it, and to have young ones want to come back into the agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Chris, I think you need to just go where they're at. You know, wherever they're at, you just got to show up there. This is going to be, you know, if it's going to be a real transformation, it's going to come from the people. It's not going to come from the government. It's not going to come from different regulations or laws. Those kinds of things can support the work that we're doing, but we are the ones that drive this. And so, yeah, I remember being on a call a while ago, and they were like, you know, everybody was so happy because the city, it was like, oh, we're going to do urban agriculture. We're going to, you know, I was like, man, just come give us the money and get out the way. You know, because, you know, I'm not looking to them to do anything for me. That's how we got where we're at right now. You know, and if they do it for us, it's not rewarding. We don't care for it. We don't maintain it. It's got to be sustainable. This has got to be something that we come together as a people and do. And so bringing the youth into it, like one of the things, I don't have small children, but my neighbors do. And I have a big backyard in my house with a large garden, small farm, whatever you want to call it. So I just started like a, you know, I would see them all running around. They're like 7, 8 years old and stuff. Chris, what's up? You know, I'd be like, come on, let's garden class. So we just started doing a garden class in my backyard. Like, those are the types of things I feel like that's going to make a difference. And again, like I said at first, building those relationships. I remember when I was locked up, I used to work with the youngsters on the yard, and you always catch them on the basketball court, like either on the basketball court or on the side of the basketball court smoking weed, right? And it'd be like 8 of them, and they always together all the time. And so I used to always try to talk to them, like, man, what you gonna do when you get out? What are you gonna do when you go home? Oh, I don't know, woo, woo, woo. And then they like boo you off or whatever, but and then you just be consistent with them, like every day, like, what's up, man? What you doing? What you gonna do when you go home? You got any kids? You got any plans? You know what I mean? And then they just like for a while, but then I noticed like when something happened with them, like I remember one of them had got into it with the CEO behind something. He came to my door, knocked on my door. Hey man, the CEO just wrote me up for this. What do I do? Woo, woo. So I had built that trust with them, but I did that by going and meeting them where they were at, and being consistent with them and talking to them, and showing them that like I don't want nothing from this, man. I'm just trying to I'm not even looking out for your good. I'm just trying to get you to look out for your own good, And so I feel like that's with the youth, where we started a garden program at a school in Vista 3 years ago, and they were just coming out of COVID. None of the kids knew each other, and now they're all like best friends. And I remember when I would talk to them like, what are you going to do after school? Are you going to go to college? And they, no, I'm not going to college. I'm going to do this or that or whatever. Well, now 4 of them are in my college course, my organic crop production course. And so again, it's about taking interest in their lives, being involved, going where they're at and meeting them where they're at, not being assuming, maybe not having plans for them, but allowing them to plan for themselves and supporting them in those plans. And it's definitely not about looking to the city, the government. Like I work with these I work with all the school districts, the universities, the colleges, the feds, like that. All money ain't good money. Like they are in the way of progress. I'm just telling you that right now. Like, we're in a 6-month process right now with a school to put 10 garden beds on an area at the school that's been vacant and there's just nothing there for over 10 years. And they want architectural plan. It's like, stop, like you're just hindering progress. And the universities are the same way. Public funds are the same way. So it's a community effort for me.
I'm Jenny, and so I think that I in my life I'm also a Girl Scout leader, and go Girl Scouts. I've had these girls since they were in kindergarten, and now they're 11th and 12th graders, and I have 11 of them, and they've stuck with me. Okay, so I'm just gonna pat my back really quick. Because middle school is when they all start dropping. And that's because Girl Scouts is girl-led, right? So I'm bringing that up because I really feel like student-led is the key to connecting with our youth and bringing them all, like walking them into adulthood and then continuing to walk together. So like these Girl Scouts, there are things that they wanted to do. They wanted to build a house for someone in Katrina one year. And I was like, all right, how are we going to do that? And let them work it out and realize they needed to pivot, right? Like there's small things that we can do that are valuable that we know are going to take more time, or they even know are going to take more time, and get them to a place where they understand their power. They understand their power. And so I believe it's true, like our Olivewood, we have TK actually all the way through 12th grade in adult program. So we serve, if you're a human, actually if you're a chicken, if you're a gopher, we got you. But I'm saying what's key is sitting down at a table with a human and saying, what are we gonna do? All right, then how are we gonna do it? And some of our programs for high school students, they've been learning progressive responsibility in high school. We guide them through the process so they know how to engage the community listening forum, community input session, so that they can make decisions on how to make a change in their community, right? They understand how to pull information from different stakeholders and then like crunch all the information, figure out what opportunities they have, and then go make a difference. They look back and they're like, I can't believe we did that. I can't believe you let us do that. And it's like, well, no, wait, we're partners in this. Like, we have to look at each other as partners in order to set everybody up for success in the future, because we're growing, we're not gone. Like, we're gonna need folks to take care of us, one day. So, I think just continually looking at all of us as like partners at the table is really important. So we just do our part to help that happen by listening to our youth.
Thank you.
So for me, one way that we should do so that we could keep our youth involved would be creating these childhood memories. Those personal connections are really important, especially for youth to keep getting involved and keep making our community stronger. For me, at Sherman Heights Community Center, and right in front of the community center, we have our elementary school, and we have our garden right there. And I remember when I was smaller, we'd go to that garden. I didn't know anybody. These grade levels are from 5th grade all the way to 1st grade. I didn't know anybody, and I just created those friendships through gardening and through coming after school, taking the time out of their day to teach us how to garden. The simplicity of just taking care of one sole thing is what really brought my community together, and I still see that to this day. Even though I'm 17, I feel like I'm a little more wiser than I was in 5th grade. I still reach back towards that pivotal moment in my life where I saw that our community is strong in numbers, and just through advocating that we should do more community-based events, and the little things really matter as a child. And I feel like just really creating those like childhood memories would really keep our youth centered in the food system and show how we have power in our voices, and through together we will create change, whatever we want to see.
So what I'm hearing you all say is that education on the value of the system's work and who's working the system, engagement, meeting them where they are at, and staying consistent and letting them lead the way is going to be the best way for us to gain and maintain our youth.
Our field trip program, for instance, we're bringing students to our property. They're getting a garden outdoor science rotation and a nutrition nutrition lesson. And those two are tied. So like if we're talking about My Plate, for instance, they're learning about My Plate in the garden. We talk about calcium, what we get from the dairy component. We don't talk a lot about dairy. We talk about a lot more plant-based, and how we can't, and the reason why, right? So when they're seeing dairy and they're thinking, oh, I need dairy in my life, they're understanding like what I'm needing is calcium, or I'm needing protein, right? And I can get it from these other components. I think that in our programming, we have to shift what we're teaching kids and explaining to them why, right? So if they understand, like, we're nourishing our bodies, it's not about just filling our stomach, which to some that is exactly what it is, right? I just need to be able to get through the day. But understanding that what you're putting in your body helps you build muscles, and it helps give you energy. And if you're not feeling this way, it could be because you're missing like one of these things. Like, kids are capable of they are learning all of those things, right? And they're taking that along with them. I think shifting in our programs and having like medical professionals come out and make decisions to really share that, yes, there are lots of different ways to be healthy. One of them is to take a look at what we're eating and what we're putting in our bodies. A lot of our programs are doing that, but it really is going to take a community for it not to be like, oh, this is a prescription that this program or this place is giving. So,
did you hear the bird singers out there, the Cumbia Luiseño bird singers?
Yes.
Man, I felt so blessed by them. Everything else that was said, it was like they said it. they spoke to my spirit. I didn't even know what they were saying. I didn't know none of the words, none of that. But my spirit felt it and felt blessed. And so I say that to say, like, it's not in the books. What we, you know, the truth, like we have this culture that's so focused on licensing and permitting, and it's got to be American Medical Association, whatever, you know, to become a doctor or whatever it is. But there is wisdom in the ancients that comes from all places on earth that like is not being passed down or given to allow, you know, access. Community members don't have access to that. And that's what, like, even Hippocrates, right? Like, let food be thy medicine. You know, and so I feel like it's like opening up that, like looking at other things. Like, it's not just like a doctor's visit, but how do I, because there are more than just physical maladies, but spiritual ailments and emotional ailments that keep us from becoming our best selves, and things that that herbs and food could cure. So taking it, broadening our mindset to include things that maybe are not in the books, you know, but can be found in wisdom. That's how I feel like, you know, I don't know whether the hospitals or the care practitioners will ever accept that, but I know for me, myself, and my family, there's more to it than just going to the doctor and getting a prescription. You know, a lot more to it. Like, that's not where the truth is at.
Yeah, I'm just going to be brief, okay?
Oh, please.
So at Second Chance, the education program that we emphasize is preventative, right? As Chris just said, Hippocrates said, let food be your medicine and your medicine your food. That should have been the medical profession, not do no harm to the patient. A lot of these medications are doing harm to the patient, right? And our food system, I would say, is becoming so complicated now, we don't even know if some of these GMO things are harmful for us. You know, we don't even know what is food anymore. And that's why what we do there is, you know, getting away from the GMO and doing everything in an organic way, but to teach our youths, I say an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure, right? So we want to teach that aspect of it to the youths, and as it goes back to the parent, we're living in a system where you have the two parents that are working and they can't even afford the rent, right? Much less to come home and prepare for their children. It's got to be a systemic change where parents can be afforded that time to provide balanced meals and to teach their youths, because that's where it begins. It always begins with the parent, and to be that guide for them, all right, and not depending on so much on the medical field, all right? Yeah, I just.
Wonderful, thank you. You know, we have lovely programs out right now. Food RX, I believe Food Shed is participating in that, and those are some of the programs that I think that speak to what you were saying, food as medicine, going into your doctor and actually getting a prescription to eat better. Please.
Can I just comment on that really quick? Hey everyone, Elliot from Kinship. And we are doing this like small pilot project with fruit and veggie prescriptions called Pesto Plus. But the state of California got a waiver in 2020 that allows for medical reimbursement of food today. So every person who has Medi-Cal could go to their doctor and demand a fresh fruit and veggie prescription from a local farmer.
Can you say that again, please?
Every single person on Medi-Cal could go to their doctor and demand access to a fruit and veggie prescription. Unfortunately, Kaiser, Blue Cross Blue Shield, those folks don't have the systems or the contracts yet in place to actualize it.
I know we have a lot of wonderful food system leaders in this room. Is there anyone else who want to speak to what brought you here, and what we can learn from how you got here? Please. All right. We'll go here, and then we'll go back that way.
Hi, I'm Kate. And my grandmother is who inspired me. She took care of me as a as a child, and so she struggled with food insecurity, and she never made that apparent to us. That was something I wasn't aware of until I got older, and so that really drove me to want to help with food equity and food security. But more of a question, comment, idea. As I've gotten older, as I've graduated college and done these things, I realized that a lot of people who are involved in this, in theory, want to share and spread this knowledge and community, but sometimes there's this prejudice towards younger people as inexperienced. But if we can never get that experience, then there's no way in ever. And so I think when we're talking about this, it's really important for us to remember that we all have to start somewhere, and if we want to bring in the youth, we need to remember to give them that, and not just K through 12 or whatever, but like post that. Young adults are still very young. It's like I'm 22 and I'm Gen Z and I was born 2001. Like I'm a child. But once you graduate college and you're seen as an adult and you're expected to have all of the knowledge of everybody in the world, that's not realistic, and you're just going to be stuck in this cycle of doing things just to make ends meet instead of doing what drives you and what gives you passion and what you want to do to help better your community. So that wasn't really a question, but more of just like a statement. I have a lot of big feelings about this.
Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. And like I had mentioned before, like bridging, it's in Girl Scouts, you bridge to different like levels. And then they and I was a Girl Scout forever when I was little. And then I got to the end and they're like, bye. And I was like, I'm an adult now. Damn, this is boring. Like, everything was fun and everyone wanted to help me do stuff. And then you get to be an adult and they're like, well, we'll see you in the workforce or whatever, right? I'll see you in 4 years or whatever. And so I do think it's extremely important that it's not. There are other cultures where you are in a constant growing pattern. And you have got elders and you've got people with experience who are walking you through that life. And I think that's exactly what needs to happen. We don't look at it as, okay, you're in 12th grade, bye, and look back to all the other, younger ones. It really does have to be a transition, continuous transition. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to speak to her comment briefly. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Casey. To Casey's comment, I feel like that's one of the most important things that we can have is mentorship and support, right? Because none of us know everything. I didn't even know how to live in society, and I knew coming home that I would have to find some men to mentor me and show me like how to be a man, out here in society, because I didn't have those skills. And I've been blessed enough to find some women and some men that have mentored me and helped me in my growth. And so that's one of the things that we do with my high school kids. When they graduate, we bring the community colleges or the colleges, Cal State, San Marcos, in to speak to them while they're still in high school, sign them up, get them registered, whatever. And unless if they want to go into like a career field, we can get them internships. So it's a bigger whole, you know what I mean? And so some of them go into community college, but I'm confident that we have built a relationship with those people at those colleges that when they go there, I'm handing them off to good hands. Same thing with some of the companies that we work with. That when I get them internships or when they go and they work there, I know that they're being handed off to good hands. And then it just like perpetuates. It just goes on and on and on. I'm one person, I can do my part. And then, but with relationships, like we have a network, right? And they're able to continue to get support throughout their life. Because, there's people, grown people. It's not just you. Like, one of the things, like, you go in the industry, you find out pretty quick, like, nobody really knows what they're doing. It's like, yeah, and it's like, at 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, we all need support in different things. And so, yeah.
Thank you, Chris. So we have just about under 10 minutes left. If we have any more questions or comments.
The reason that I'm here is we just received news very recently that we received a very large grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture to do a project that has the same name as this session, which is basically cultivating the next generation of food system leaders. And I was very interested in learning from you guys working with young people, because this is really the main focus of our project. And so I want to learn from you, but I also want to throw it out there that what we're trying to do is create a program that centers on the values, the knowledge, and the experience of young people to try to get them interested in food system. And it is a very strong focus on also indigenous knowledge, the food practices of immigrants. We're really trying to work with people where they at and value their knowledge and show them that there are a lot of opportunities. And so we have funding for scholarships, for internship, paid internship, all these kinds of things. And we also have opportunities for our students. We really want to create this neo-peer mentorship program. And so we would like our college level students to work with younger students and be mentors or role models. And so please reach out to me if that's something that's of interest to you. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I guess my question would be, is there anything that maybe hasn't been covered from each of the organizations you represent that you would say that you would ask from us? Anything from challenging our thinking to give you money or
Yeah.
on the top of your wish list?
Yes. So, just gonna address, but we're gonna accept your offer. But I'm gonna tell you, but with Casey, we have I'm mentoring a university student from UCSD right now. He chose us out of like 100 institutions, but and he's doing environmental science, and he's doing his final year project with us at Second Chance, and he's learning about regenerative agriculture. So he's going to learn, and he's whatever findings he has, he's going to be sharing with us. We can always use a lot of volunteers at Second Chance, and you're welcome to come, and I'm happy. I have Daria, she's the program manager, and we have Maya, she's the assistant manager, and we welcome everyone, and we're there to teach and to help. So you're always welcome to, and we'll be happy to mentor you in whatever what you want to know. Yeah, so at Second Chance, we always have these youths that probably can talk to you also, and we can bring it back to them. Today, we're actually going to have a graduation of 20 students. They all learn about sustainable, composting and all these things that they learn that they're going to take with them. A lot of them may not be in agriculture, but as I said, they're part of the food system. And a lot of these youths that we work with, most of they're coming from parents from different countries. So they're like, oh yeah, my mom always talk about the okra or the eggplant, and they can see it and all of that. So what we're doing is very vital, and we can always use more volunteers and also support for them. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Chris, Garden 31 is just like Second Chance or probably any other nonprofit organization, can always use support in a number of ways. But one of the things I would like to say is, like, come and check us out. We're starting a workshop series at Mesa College at the Terra Mesa Organic Gardening there. Actually, today I got to leave here a little early to be there from 3 to 6. So, if I would say don't support anything that you're not absolutely sure that it's in line with your values. I feel like our values are pure, our mission is pure, and our vision is impactful. And so I would just ask you to come and check us out, and see exactly what it is we do, what kind of relationships we build, and what kind of impact we have in people's lives. And then after you see that, and I know you'll fall in love with us, then you can support us with your volunteer hours, with your time, and hopefully financially, because there are a lot of potential opportunities out there for us to make more of an impact, and we're just, it's got to be balanced with our funding. We just signed a 68-page contract with East Mesa Juvenile Detention Facility to go in there and work with the kids that are down there because they're coming home, and so there are just a lot of opportunities, more schools that have contacted us, and I have to look at our capacity, but yeah. So volunteer hours, funding, if you have any type of technical skills.
Jenny, Jeni, at olivewoodgardens.org is my email address. Jenny, Jeni. Our mission is to inspire a healthy and active lifestyle through organic gardening, environmental stewardship, nutrition education. Our high school programs are Garden to Kitchen, where interns are learning about like basic gardening and kitchen skills. We have a youth community leadership program where students are learning about community engagement, social justice. Our sustainable urban agriculture program is getting students involved in learning about their community needs, growing on an agricultural level. So like different levels of gardening. And so the answer to your question is I think each and every one of you is special, and I bet you have something to bring to the table. So I would invite you to contact me at jenny@olivewoodgardens.org and come talk to our kids. We're always looking for guest speakers, and each of you has a skill that would be valuable to pass on. And so that's a lot. So I hope to have 75 emails in my inbox by the end of the day.
Well, so we're at the closing of this session, but I really want to take time to thank Lucan, Chris, Jenny, and Mia. Thank you so much for being our panelists. Before you all leave, please take time for our closing reflection on your way to your next session. I want you to reflect on what is one appreciation, one action, one insight, or question you'll take away from this session. What has come alive for you after hearing this session? Thank you all.